This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. What was the relationship that Bosch and Watts and the Blanchards had, or the Funks? I mean, you had so many Texas territories. We've never really spent much time talking about that. What was the opinion of Joe Blanchard amongst other promoters?
For the most part, it's my opinion skewed, is they looked at Joe. Joe kind of broke off from Dallas originally to have his own booking in his own territory, no longer using the Dallas booking office originally in the 70s. And then in the 80s, worked a little bit with Paul, and then that fell through, and then went back to doing his own thing. Joe had a relationship. Joe could always get the Funks, but Paul could also get the Funks. Joe was, for the most part, relied on his bookers. Paul Bosch relied on his own relationships with talent. So Paul could get guys that Dallas couldn't necessarily get, or even Bill, for that matter. Joe would have to rely on his bookers. I don't think, and again, from our viewpoint, Joe was not a good promoter, in my opinion. I don't think that he was not a good businessman. I'll never forget when he sued everybody in the world for antitrust because his business was going in the toilet. And the judge asked him, the plaintiffs or defendants or whatever the hell it was, the defendants, was a list of the who's who in the wrestling business. He listed everybody. I mean, he sued everybody. So as the judge is going down and they're sitting there, one of the lawyers asked Joe on the stand under oath, he says, I see here you're suing Vince McMahon. Is that Vince McMahon Sr. or is that Vince McMahon Jr.? Not knowing that there's not really a junior, but right. It was Joe Blanchard's answer was, well, the old man's dead, so I guess I'll sue Junior. I remember reading that in all this shit going, oh my God, how in the hell is this case even going on? And of course, the only people that ended up paying anything and going through with the lawsuit was Paul, Bill Watts, Nick Bockwinkel, and Peter Burkholz, and ended up paying Joe something to go away. But I don't think that Joe wasn't like one of these revered promoters that, oh, I've got to go and work there. And Paul wasn't, someone who promoted a territory. Paul promoted a town so they could come in for one night and be gone and be out.
Just having the context of what you just explained, Tully Blanchard having a chip on his shoulder makes a little more sense, doesn't it?
Oh, hell yeah. And Tully has a chip on his shoulder for a lot of reasons. Tully Blanchard, in his college football days, Tully was a hell of a quarterback. I mean, an excellent quarterback at West Texas State. But he was a little on the small side for what they were looking for in quarterbacks at the time. So I think that Tully maybe really wanted to play pro football, but couldn't make the cut. So he had that chip on his shoulder, plus he was the promoter's son. So there were a lot of things that I think attributed to the chip on Tully's shoulder. But one thing nobody could ever take away from him, he was a hell of an athlete and an incredible quarterback and an incredible worker too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked this up, but if you're listening to this, go look up Tully Blanchard's stats. Just type in Tully Blanchard, West Texas State stats, and you'll see, he had 9 rushing touchdowns and a ton of passing touchdowns, 16 there, but his 74 season, he had a QB rating of 103. Our big time football fans will know what that means. That's a big number, especially when maybe some of us didn't know what a talented football player he was.
Yeah, very much so. And I think Tully, in some ways, resent would be the wrong word and wrong phrase, but I think there was a part of Tully that may have resented, being left to go into the wrestling business. Well, and I think he's done pretty well for himself, but,
oh yeah,
I think the chip the chip on his shoulder may have come from that.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.